So, minute into injury time, we know pandemonium. Now, watching it back, I've had I've used Y Scout, but you could use iFollow to watch the entire incident back from start to finish. It starts before Jensen's got the ball, because House and Stockley are already in a little wrestling match. And on that occasion, it's Stockley that's going to be coming into the area. So it's House probably doing a block, but it's a block. It's not a wrestling move. Then when we try and break quickly, Stockley does the same to House. But in this instance, it's an arm around, it's a pull, it's whatever. They go to ground, there's a melee. You can't really see what happens from where I was sitting. It looked probably nastier than it did on the replay. It looked like there might have been some arms flailing and elbows flailing and a bit of kicking out and all that sort of stuff. So, you maybe used to call it handbags in the pre-woke era, but I'm not sure you're allowed to do that now. So the referee takes his time. I thought he had a good game. Daniel Middleton did well. It was always going to book House and Stockley. There's an argument that Stockley holding the player and deliberately stopping him from going past is a yellow in its own right before they have the wrestle, but it would have probably reflected badly on the referee had he sent Stockley off and not House, because it was a kind of an evolving situation. And I think when you put into context the fact that House had blocked the run into the area, fair. Lino then calls him over. He goes over to the lino, and at that point you think, hey, something else has gone off here. And there were some arms being thrown, some punches being thrown. Arahan gets booked, probably rightly so. Lawal gets booked. Now, my first point is Lawal committed the exact type of foul that I've been complaining about for now a couple of weeks on Ted Bishop, middle of the park. I've watched a replay. It's an arm around, comes back around the neck. It's Powdy O'Connor against Exeter Bad. He's on a yellow card. Whether the referee mistook him for Omacheri or not, he's in the middle of it. There's one point where he's raised two hands. You can see it quite clearly on the picture I've put on the Stacey West. He's raised two hands to push a player away. Mistaken identity or not, I don't know if there's a huge amount they can complain about the red card. The question I'm going to put to you is, first of all, was the right outcome reached around Stockley and House? And secondly, was it mistaken identity in your opinion or not?
Okay. So answer number one, yeah, I think House and Stockley, that's really sensible refereeing just to book them both there. And if it wasn't for what happened afterwards, it's probably a fair result. It keeps players on the pitch, and no one's going to complain about that outcome. Unless you obviously support as well, you're going to be biased either way. But I think objectively, it was probably a sensible decision. Now, yeah, I've watched it back quite a lot because you shared it obviously recently with me, and I've watched it back a lot. And I don't think Fleetwood are going to be able to appeal this for mistaken identity, but I do actually think there's a potential that it is. The reason I don't think they can appeal for it is what you mentioned about Lowell. He does get involved with the melee. He pushes. I don't know who he pushes. He pushes somebody. But at the same time, if he's booking one person as part of that little melee, he should probably be booking 10 players. There was then a moment not so long, or while that was kind of going on, where Omacheri and Irahan are specifically, just the two of them that have kind of got, I think, the heads, I don't know if they're together, but they're kind of towards each other. The referee then comes over and books Irahan, which I assumed was for that individual moment, which was quite separated to the original melee. So it makes sense for the liner to be watching that little moment because the ref's probably got his eye on the melee. And then the ref comes along to book Lawal, and it just didn't make a huge amount of sense. And then, of course, the fact that you're saying he took his time to check his book and to see if he's put the name down already. But my perception is the ref would already know that, should already know that. If it looks to me like there's a few players going, hang on, you've already booked him, and then he realizes, he then checks his notes, and then he puts the red card up. So, in summary, I think what the referee is meant to do is book Omacheri, book Irahan, book House, book Stockley, end it, go in at half-time, relax, keep everyone on the pitch. What's actually happened is he's mistaken Omacheri and Lawal, and what's happened. But I think there's enough for the ref to kind of justify a yellow card for Lawal. Even if that wasn't the intended action in the moment, I think there's enough there to justify it retrospectively so it doesn't look like mistaken identity, if that makes sense.
If it's mistaken identity, it's either the ref or the line out. The double checking of the book and producing the red makes you think it's the ref who's made the mistake. But it could be the lino. But the lino's right there when Lawal raises his arms, and it's Joe Taylor and Adam Jackson, I think, are the two players that are in front of him as he raises his arms. It would be harsh, but he does, so there's justification.